It's regrettable that they're saying that the Hollywood sign's 100 years old, because this poster was done to commemorate the demolition of the original Hollywoodland sign, or what remained of it, and a rebuild of a totally new sign. It was probably 3 months when there was no sign at all.
In 1978, the original Hollywoodland sign was demolished. It did not exist any longer.
We do have artifacts here that are 100 years old, like our historic stone entryway.
The real estate office was the first structure.
And the stone walls, the historic stone walls.
The stairs, the roadways, the walkways, the bridle paths throughout the neighborhood.
The ranch, the stables, and then the model homes. The first one, of course, right here on Woodhaven, and then the two on Beechwood that are pretty close.
Right, because this was actually a self-contained community. They used every resource that they had here. They used within the tract, for grading, for building, for cement mixing, that type of thing. So all of that was at that end of Beechwood.
And the original surveying was done on horseback, and a lot of the work was done with mules, bringing supplies.
Funny that here's the sign, which was really to bring people up into their homes, into the community, and now, of course, it just has nothing to do with the community. It's just this large public attraction.
That has really nothing to do with Hollywood proper.
I read one apocryphal thing that Hollywood High students helped build the sign, and that's completely false. What you can see is that H over there to the left in the center of the picture. That's the Hollywood High H that the students went and put up on the hill, and because high school students did that in the day. But if you look, you can see that the H is slowly coming up, which seems to indicate that they pre-made the letters and then brought them up to attach them to the hillside.
Yeah, the whole fictitious story that they use, that kids from Hollywood High built it, is just laughable. This was a large building developer syndicate. They were actually going bankrupt from the get-go because they were spending so much money to develop this neighborhood.
Well, you can see it because they had to figure out how to grade the hillside to be able to put homes and roads in.
They hired an unbelievable engineering company, Engineering Service Corps.
The guy who claimed he designed the sign, John Roche, who was the original designer of the sign?
It was a very large and prominent electrical sign company. I've seen one source with the Department of Water and Power, but they claim it was Crescent Sign Company, which was a company in Hollywood. Believe they were on Santa Monica Boulevard at the time. The actual design of the sign, how it's juxtaposed and up and down, is because the land was really tough granite. And my understanding is they had to place the letters where they did because that's where they could get the footings in for the install. And I've never seen any mention in any of the documents from the Sherman Library, anything that I've read, referring to Mr. Roche. So it's a real puzzle. If someone has facts, documents, we'd love to see them.
The other thing we know that is completely wrong is that Albert Cote, who changed the light bulbs in that electrical sign, it never stops people claiming that he lived in a house behind one of the letters.
It's laughable.
I think I saw a Huell Hauser thing where Huell Hauser was letting these guys say that too, without substantiating it. But we do know that he did live on Beechwood Drive in one of the house sheds that was the worker sheds that when they were building Hollywoodland, they let Albert live in that structure and work maintaining the sign and the tract and driving the tract shuttle bus. He came over as a sailor around the Horn to Los Angeles, decided to stay here, and because he knew how to use the bosun's chairs and rope, he was perfect to change the light bulbs.
And not fearful of heights.
Not fearful of heights.
We have documents, letters from the Sherman Company, talking about Albert and Mac and the tasks that they had to do. They maintained the tennis courts and the putting green and various things, probably the water fountain, the double water fountain on Belden as well.
It was Albert and Mac who stripped all the copper wire out of the sign when it was all defunct, and they went and sold it.
Right. Wasn't he also known to tip the bottle?
Oh, yeah, he did. He tipped the bottle a lot. I think he and his friend Mac were real drinking buddies.
The City of Los Angeles owns the sign. It was given to the city in 1944 by the Sherman Company, along with the 440 some acres around the residential community of Hollywoodland.
Oh, the acres that weren't developed.
Correct. There were 2 or 3 private parcels inside the parkland. So they had private easements, ingress, egress easements. Mount Lee, Don Lee Productions, which is now the main communication tower, had a private easement, and that was given in 1940, as was the private ingress, egress easement for the Sunset Stables. And that land was given to them by our developer in 1944. It was the largest donation outside the initial Griffith Park.
It was in the late 40s after the war that I think it was the local powers in Hollywood, maybe the Chamber of Commerce, that thought the tourists weren't coming. There was nothing to see. So they focused on 2 things, and that would be the Hollywood sign, and then they created the Walk of Fame, just so tourists would not be disappointed when they came to Hollywood.
Both those entities are city-owned public spaces belonging to the citizens of Los Angeles, not belonging to a service
Organization?
Yeah. So then in 1973, the sign was dedicated a cultural heritage monument. At that point in time, it was on the same footings. The rebar, everything that was original in terms of the support was still there, kind of retrofitted over time. But today, it's completely new. It really is not a cultural heritage monument. It's kind of embarrassing.
People used to hang on the sign and go up there and use it as a jungle gym, and it was really dangerous. And then after they built the completely new sign, it just got completely covered with graffiti. It was just an eyesore.
The Hollywood Chamber of Commerce PAC owns the service mark. Is that right? The Hollywood
Correct.
Trust?
They own the service mark. It was obtained probably sometime in the 90s. They did have a very loose agreement with the City of Los Angeles, and it was challenged. I do know that the Hollywoodland homeowners objected to it. They tried to get the City of Los Angeles to request that they get a cut of that service mark, but the city failed and reneged on that. Promotion and use of the service mark became more evident, and when that happened, our neighborhood started getting inundated with more people, more looking at But we're still in a very severe fire hazard zone. We're also in a significant ecological area. And all these things are imposed on when we get a huge amount of visitors. And I don't think it's fair for the citizens or the neighborhood.
Some reason people think they have to get close to see it. Like it's really meant to be seen from far away because it's a sign. You don't want to get up close to it. It's a billboard. You don't need to get up close to a billboard. Or maybe what they should do is take the billboard and travel it around the world.
Let Hollywood proper have the sign. Give the sign back to them. The neighborhood will be happy. All the animals in the significant ecological area will be happy. The fire dangers will be diminished. I mean, it's not working the way it is.
When you think of world monuments, the Hollywood sign's got to be one of the flimsiest and kind of tackiest, you know? I mean, it's not the Taj Mahal. It's not the Eiffel Tower. I mean, and what does it stand for? What does it stand for? Now I'm hearing it stands for
corporate media and corporate media entertainment. And then I guess it's all the social media running up here to get their selfie, you know, to be on their way to being a star. So now pretty much the sign is the only place that tracks people, which Hollywood used to do over the last 100 years. People wanted to become stars. Now they go up the hill and take a picture with the sign.
Yeah, and the city is refusing to understand what their job is in public safety and refusing to understand that this is a residential community inserted in the park that was part of our tract. And they're not getting it.
When you look at Hollywood proper, it's kind of embarrassing that we have this sign, and then what happened to Hollywood, which should have been a historic district. I mean, Hollywood is a mess, you know. And I feel sorry for tourists who come, like They got the Chinese theater. Otherwise, they just got all the same kind of crap you get if you go to like Manhattan to Times Square. And then the other thing is they come up and it's a sign. Oh, let's go see the sign. The Manhattanization, where they drove out all the poorer people in their homes, in the small homes, and put up these big projects with luxury apartments that really not too many people can afford. But these apartments, everything that went up in Hollywood was so they all have views of the Hollywood sign. So part of the desecration of Hollywood proper was so that the people could market the sign for people who rent condos on upper floors in Hollywood.
The uglification of Los Angeles. If you support and want to support accurate history, help us. Go to the Beechwood Market. We have Hollywoodland t-shirts and Hollywoodland bags commemorating our 100th.
And you can get more information on that by the hollywoodlandgiftedpark.com.